Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today we're going to talk about putting on the draw pulls. So we're going to put the hardware on today. But how do you know where to mount the hardware? There's lots of different places you can mount them. You can mount them on the top of the drawer if you choose. You can mount it in the middle of the drawer. There's all different kinds of draw pulls. And I will tell you this, there is different bolt patterns on most of the draw pulls as well. So before you go drilling anything in here, make sure you have the piece that you're going to put on, and then you can mark it and get it exactly where you want it. What I'm choosing to do is I'm putting it in the center of the drawer, in the center from top to bottom, and also from left to right. It's going directly in the center. But now, finding the exact center. The worst thing you can do is take a draw pull, look at it and say, well, I think that's where it goes, and you put it on and you find out that it's crooked. It may not be that crooked, but you'll find out that it's slightly crooked and it looks horrible. So I'm going to show you how to calculate exactly where the middle of the drawer is and how to drill it without damaging the cabinets, and that's it. We're going to get started. So I'm going to give you an example of what kind of tools and what kind of equipment you're going to need to do it. We're going to need some tape, some kind of tape that's not going to really stick too tightly to the drawers. I'm using one like this. I'm going to choose to use this one here because I'm going to put this on the center of this drawer up here. I'm going to find the approximate center. I'm going to put the tape on here, and then I'm going to make my calculations on that piece of paper, because as you can tell, you really don't want to scuff up the cabinets or do any damage to it without knowing exactly where it's going to go. All right, so obviously this is our draw pull. This is the screws that comes with the draw pull. We're going to need a Phillips head screwdriver, a pencil, a pen, or whatever you're going to mark the tape with, something to make your measurements, and a couple of little drill bits. And this is a countersink. I'll explain why I'm going to use that too, and a drill to actually drill the holes into the cabinets. You can buy something like this here. A lot of different companies sell these. These are actually meant to go like this on the drawer, and then you can mark where you want to make your holes, and you drill it. I'm not going to use this because none of these holes line up to the dead center of the drawer, and I just want to have it exactly in the center. I don't want it off not even an eighth of an inch, because to me it's got to be exactly centered. So this I'm not going to use because it's not going to work for us. So we are going to take this and put it on the side, but they do sell stuff like this, and these may be good for when you're doing the cabinets, these cabinets here. If you're doing something different on these cabinets, it may work there. I'll have to see how it goes because I'm going to make these measurements here. But just looking at it right now, it's probably not going to work for me either, but we'll see how it goes. We'll come back to that on another video. Now, the reason I have 3 different size drill bits is, one, if you try to take the size that you actually need, which is this, and you put it up onto the cabinet here, and you try to drill, you may get it to move just a little bit. Even if it moves an eighth of an inch, it's too much to move an eighth of an inch. So what I do is I take a very small drill bit, such as this, and I make a very small pilot hole exactly where I'm going to drill it. And I drill it all the way through with this smaller drill bit here first. Once it's drilled through with that smaller drill bit, then I'll follow it up with one that's a little bigger, and then this, which is the actual size of the bolts that actually hold the draw pull on. All right, this, I'm actually just using this just to clean off any of the, when the drill goes through this drawer, on the inside it leaves a little bit of pieces of wood sticking out. And this I just use, this is a countersink. I use this just by hand to take off any of the burrs of wood that may be sticking out. And that's it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a piece of tape right on here. So let me get the tape on there, and then we're going to make our measurements, and we're going to drill it, and you'll see it'll come out perfect. Okay, now remember what I said about drilling these holes in here? You want to make absolutely sure that that is our point right there, and right there where we're going to drill. So we're going to measure it over here, exactly, make sure where it is. 6 7/8. 6 7/8. So we have, these are exactly where they belong. All right, so the next thing we're going to do now is we are going to take our very small drill bit. We're going to put our drill bit on here, and you want to be very careful. Make sure you have it on there and just drill very easily. Okay, so now our holes are drilled exactly where we wanted them. What I do with this, I just come into the back of the drawer here. I'll bring you in there, I'll show you why. You see in the back of the drawer right here, see these little pieces of wood sticking out? What I do is I just take this in here and I just turn it just like that to clean off all of the burrs. You could put it in a drill if you want to. You really don't need to because it's just very little. Okay, so now we have these cleaned up back here. We're going to go up in the front and we'll put our draw pull on. Now in this case we are going to need the longer screws because the shorter ones just don't reach. Okay. Now I'm going to take our tape off here as well because we're done with that. Now let me show you what, when you take the tape off, you'll have a perfectly drilled hole, no scratches around the outside of it or anything. Okay. Now we'll take our screws, you see how perfectly drilled they are. We'll put our screw through here. And I'll screw through here. We're going to take our handle. We're going to turn the screw from the back. And you want to catch both of these screws loosely before you tighten anything. So we catch both left and right screw. And once they're both caught, a couple of threads, and we can turn them and tighten them up equally. And that's it. Our draw pulls are on. Alright, so we have this one done. We're going to put the rest of them on over here. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to show you how to install the other pulls here. Whether you use this kind or you use a different type. I'm going to use a round single pull on there. But for now, that's that. Let me get the rest of these done and then we'll come back and put those on. Yeah. Now I'm going to show you how to install the knob or whatever you choose to put on the upper cabinets. Now there's different tools that you can buy out there so that you can actually try to get it centered in there. I have two different ones and both of them are not going to work for this application. The pieces you buy are sort of like this here. You'll buy something like this or like this and you'll put them on there and it has different hole sizes on it or the button size through the middle right here which will actually center it over it. But in this case it's not going to work for us because I want to get it dead center right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure over this way and I'm going to measure up this way and find out the height and the width and divide it by 2 and then we're going to put it directly in the center. Now this piece is meant to go on the corner just like this. It touches it against the bottom and it touches against the top and then you can put it in here where you want to. But as you can see, these are a little bit too high and they just won't work for this application. So what we're going to do is we're not going to use any kind of a template because the template, as I said, is not going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually take these, put them on the side, and we're going to take a piece of tape. As you know, black is a tough color because you can't see where you're going to make a mark on there. And we need to measure exactly so we get it exact. So what we're going to do is just going to take a piece of painter's tape here. You just take a piece of tape like this. And you take it and you put it over the area where you're going to make your measurement. Just stick it on here like that so that you see exactly where you're going to put your marks. Then what we're going to do is we're going to just take our ruler and we're going to measure how thick this piece is here. And then we're going to measure how thick this piece is here. We're going to divide it in half and then we're going to measure in half that thickness. I know the thickness is 1 3/16 and 1 3/16 because it's actually 2 3/8 the thickness of the wood right here. This is 2 3/8. This is 2 3/8. We're going to cut it in half, and it's going to be 1 3/16. So that's what we're going to do. So let's put our mark on here, 1 3/16, so we know exactly where we're going with this. I'm just going to do this a little different because... All right, so we're going to come along here. We're going to go 1 1 2 3/16. And then we're going to do the exact same thing. 1 3/16. Okay. Now after we have it measured off, the 1 3/16 that we need, 1 3/16 up, 1 3/16 over. The reason for that is because we want to make sure we have that hole exactly where we want it. Because once you drill the hole in there, there's no going back. You can't take away a hole without making it visible. All right, so what we're going to do now is we have this all marked up. The first thing we're going to do is the size drill bit that we need. I'm going to show you. This is the size drill bit that we need. As you can see, this is the thickness of the bolt that's going to be going through the cabinet. But the problem is when you take a drill bit like this, and you take this drill bit and you put it on the cabinet here, and you start to drill with it, this bit walks around a little bit. It may not stay exactly where you want it. If you put this on there and you power it up, it may move a 1/16 of an inch or whatever up and down. It's not going to be exactly dead center. So what I do is I just take a very small drill bit such as this, and then I put a small pilot hole in it and drill it through, and then we'll make it a little bit bigger. So all right, let's do that. Now we're going to put this on here. We're on our spot exactly. Give it a little bit of a push. And what that does is it makes a little tiny dimple for the drill bit, and we're going to go very lightly. Now just when you get it started, open the cabinet, because if you try to drill this through, you may wind up damaging the frame of the cabinet. So open the door and then drill very slowly through. And the drill works better if you drill and then pull it out and let the filings fall off, and then you drill again. See how the drill bit comes through the back? You don't want that drill bit hitting into the cabinet frame by any chance. All right, so now we have our hole drilled. We are going to just slightly enlarge it just a little bit. And we're going to go very slowly. Make sure your hand is not in the back so you don't hurt yourself. Okay, so now we've drilled through the cabinet all together, and then we'll take our tape off. And you can see the hole that we drilled is a perfect hole. There's no chipping. It didn't walk around and damage it at all. We're going to put our screw through the back. We'll put our knob on like this. We'll just catch it until it starts to turn. And then we'll grab our Phillips head screwdriver and we'll tighten it up. And that's it. The knob is done. So again, we wanted the knob center of this one here and center of this one here, and that's exactly where it is. All right, so that's it. We're going to do the rest of the cabinets here. We'll do the rest of the cabinets over there, and that's it. We're all done. All right, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.